Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Sports Wave Network and Sports Corner with the Conn Man. I am your host, the Conn Man. I don't know what happened to the picture. Anyway, I have with me a very special guest. She goes by the name of Dr. Heather Locken. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Good. I'm glad I got the opportunity to meet you at the Heron basketball tournament, which was fantastic, by the way.
Oh, it
And
was. It really
you know,
was.
yeah, it really he does a great job. But the reason why I wanted you on, Doctor, is because I followed what you do uh, on Facebook and how you go around different schools and talk about the mindset and mental performance. So, if you could, Doctor, can you let the viewers know a little bit about your background, your history, if you might?
Sure. So I was born here, but I grew up down in North and South Carolina. And so that's where my sports experience it started. And I played basketball, volleyball, ran track, and I was, I don't know, 9 years old, I think, when I first became the South Carolina state champion in the quarter mile, half mile, and 1500 meters. So then I played basketball for one of the best schools in the state of North Carolina. And I'm like 5'10", and I was the shortest one on the starting lineup. So it's a different ball game down south sometimes, right? And so that was me kind of growing up. I was just always was around sports. My father was a huge advocate for me and for athletics. And then I came back up here and I played, well, no, I moved to England. So we moved to England, and then I came back here as a junior in high school, and I played at Fairhaven High for 2 years. And then I went on to play at UMass Dartmouth. And I was in a car accident, a really bad car accident. And so I couldn't play anymore after that. But it's always stuck with me. And throughout my, 28 years in education, I would always I don't know, sports was always something that I was drawn to. The athletes, I was drawn to them. And because I knew how they thought. But even then, it wasn't, mental performance wasn't a word that I spoke of, right? So I'm a licensed mental health clinician. So I work with individuals and groups around anxiety, depression, ADHD, those types of things. And I finally got wind of this thing called mental performance. And I was in it right from the get-go. It was so fascinating to me because it was something I always wished that I would have had, right? My father used to yell, "Heather, get your head in the game, get your head in the game." But no one ever taught me how to do that, how to direct my focus onto the present moment and what I should be doing. No one ever taught me how to reframe those thoughts of I suck after I miss a shot. And so I took some courses and added that to my clinical expertise. So now I have that dual lens, mental health and mental performance, which is so key to so many athletes, right? Especially when they are getting up Division I to the pros. Everything's so compounded that sometimes the little performance issues actually fester into anxiety across all areas of their life, or bouts of depression. So this is what I do. I love it. And the reason why I'm so fascinated with it is because I hope that I can get to enough young people to be able to help them the way I needed to be helped. And I loved playing at UMass Dartmouth, but I think if I had skills, mental skills, I would have been able to go further. And I truly believe that. It's all in here. Michael?
I think I'm his producer in the background. I think he had to come back in and come back out because his his camera was acting up on him, but he's
Oh, okay. So are we gonna start over?
Huh?
Can we start over?
No. Keep talking. Keep talking.
Okay.
I always got his 6. So you said you like working with getting interactive with kids.
Yes.
How does that work as far as a lot of kids definitely need help with the mental health aspect. So how do you work with kids? How do you get them comfortable and wanting to talk about their feelings?
So, there's such a stigma around athletes and mental health. It's becoming more commonplace to discuss those types of issues, but there is definitely a stigma attached to athletes that have mental health. But unfortunately, we've seen suicides, we've seen athletes really, really struggle. And so we can't ignore that anymore, right? So my feeling is if we can get to athletes younger, the better off they will be. It's great working with pros, it's cool, it's sexy, whatever, but they don't need it as much as these younger players do. They have their in-house people, but no one is really teaching younger kids how to handle it. And no one's teaching the parents either. So,
That's what I want to talk about.
go.
Doctor, if you could, I want you to take us on a journey from its inception until where it is now, as far as, I guess you would call it, your mindset performance strategy.
Mm-hmm. So as I started working with more and more athletes, I saw such common themes. Didn't matter if it was a young player or a professional player. Themes were very consistent, right? And oftentimes when they would get down on themselves, it was out of fear of failing, fear of making mistakes, fear of disappointing people. For the younger kids, it was fear of disappointing mom and dad, right? Or coach. For my older athletes, it's more fear of, not living up to the hype and not understanding that they are humans before they are athletes. And so their identity gets so tied up in performance that the idea of not doing well sends them over the edge. You know what I mean? So we try to, I take every athlete as an individual. So although there's common themes, everybody's different. Everyone is different. And so I got a lot of input from a lot of athletes. And so I said, you know what? Like, this is great. There's so much out there about growth mindset. You can be better, right? And I fully agree with that. But I felt like we needed something a little bit extra for our athletes, right? So I came up with the all-in mindset. And I describe it to kids because they know what a growth mindset is too. I'm like, this is a growth mindset on steroids. Okay. It doesn't just tell you that you can be better. It tells you, I'm going to dominate. I'm going to put and leave everything out on the court or the field, wherever I'm competing. Wow. And that's it, right? That's my job, is to get young people, older people, whatever, to be able to hyper focus on their job for that hour, that 45 minutes, whatever the length of the game is. And, it's a process though. And I try to explain, like, you can't expect to go to the gym one time and be stronger, right? So this is strength and conditioning for their mind. So it's going to take reps, just like, with your shot or whatever, you need reps. So I challenge them to, every single time. And then once it clicks, oh my gosh, they are like, it's amazing.
Because something, doctor, we always focus on the physical part, and we try to train our bodies, but we need to train our mind. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm so impressed with what you do and things that you do. But I'm gonna give you, I play ball at Bishop Stang. I play college ball, and I've had over 40 years of refereeing. Yeah, you already know that. But anyway, so I know it from all angles. Now I'm gonna hit you with something really. I want to get your expertise on this. you know, around here, I guess everywhere, you know, you may have, there may be a sibling who might be outstanding. I'll give you an example. The Gomez family, let's say that. They're famous in New Bedford. I'm sure you know about them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as let's say there's two girls or two boys, and the older one had a tremendous playing career. And now the younger one's coming up. How would you handle that situation, knowing that I'm not going to live up to my brothers or sisters or performance level? How would you handle that?
Okay. Maybe you're not going to live up to their level, right? Like, that's okay. Are you having fun? Are you enjoying this? Or are you only doing it to make the family happy? Right?
Right.
Because I see that too. I see both sides of it, you know?
Yeah.
I see some young players being like, I don't even want to do this because, you know, it's every time after a game, it's like, well, you know, Johnny did that and he scored this and he did that. And remember when he won the championship? And that's the thing. I don't care if it's a coach, if it's a teammate, if it's a parent. No idea what those things do to them. It actually validates when they say, I'm not good enough. I suck, whatever. They're validating that.
Yeah.
So their brains are saying, see, I told you we're not good enough. We're not as good as Johnny. And what's that going to do? Is that going to motivate them?
No.
You know, the other thing, right? Like we talk about mental toughness.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
What's your definition of mental toughness?
Ooh, I guess mental toughness is being tough when the tough gets real hard. How you handle yourself in difficult situations where you can normally just might give up. But I'm one of them when I played was like that just motivated me even more. So I would think again the mindset. Some people would take it as a weakness. I would take it as a strength. That would motivate me, but that's not everybody.
Exactly, right? Like sometimes my dad needed to light a fire under my butt, right?
Yeah.
Like to get moving, like, and that would do it for me. But other times, let's be honest, kids today are not like we were.
No, absolutely not.
Right? Like you tell somebody to get their head out of their butt, they're going to go tell mom now, right?
In a minute.
Right? So, you know, so the mindset is because we can win and lose games in our minds before we do anything else. If we believe, you know that saying, if you believe you can, you can.
True.
And so helping athletes to be, I like mental resilience more or flexibility more than I like toughness because I feel like it all blends in. Mm-hmm. So I would rather have a player who can miss a shot, even if it's the game winning shot, and can bounce back from that and go harder, right? Doesn't dwell on it and ruminate on it for days and days later. Doesn't affect their next practice or next game. That they have the mental flexibility to be like, oh yeah, okay, I missed that shot. But guess what? Tomorrow I'm going harder and harder and harder because my goal is to be better tomorrow than I was today. And that's the mantra for all of my athletes. So your improvement doesn't need to be a huge trajectory. Every single day, you can get better at what you do. So imagine a freshman in high school who goes in and knows I'm not going to get much playing time this year, but I'm going to practice my butt off and I'm going to get better. So then he's better sophomore year and then better junior year. And that's the growth. Right. We want to see progression, right? We don't want to be stale. And when kids and athletes, regardless of level or age, aren't thinking about the mental part of it, they're stuck, right? They're stuck.
It's so, I don't mean to interrupt you. It's so important what you're saying and what you're doing, because I think that, you know, and you go usually before the sports programs begin, which I think is very good, because now they'll have that in their mind already. Do you know what I mean? And you know, you speak about positivity, because a lot of times athletes get a lot of negativity. And here's one thing I wanted to bring up with you as well. At least around here, there's one parent families. And maybe I have a mother, but my dad's gone or left, whatever. How would you go about, because they don't really have anybody to go to, I guess, if that was a situation. How would you handle that?
So the first thing, I've seen that so many times, and that's why I founded my nonprofit. So All In Counseling and Mental Performance is my private practice.
Okay. Wow.
And I just got approved by 501c3 for Beyond the Game Foundation.
Awesome.
And so the plan is to get the community together, right? To be able to not only provide strength and conditioning, not only provide skills training, not only provide mental performance coaching, but anything that child needs if they don't have the financial means or they don't have parents who are able to get them those services, right? Because it's not fair, right? Their counterparts in Waltham and Wellesley and all those places, they are, that's not an issue for them. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That talk about your books.
All right. So Y'all In Mindset. My son played football, so I wrote it about a football player.
Okay.
And because when I went from Fairhaven High School to UMass Dartmouth, you know, I went to a couple games and I said, I can do that. But when you get out there, right, when you get on campus and you walk onto the court and they're actually bigger and faster and stronger than they looked while you were sitting up in the stands.
That's true.
You're like, what's going on? And so we don't know what we don't know until we know it. And so this young man, his name's Trey Jefferson. He is the best, like his MVP of his high school conference, like awesome football player. He goes D1 and he gets on campus and everything starts to fall apart, right? He's no longer the man. So that's a huge issue. You know, he's not getting any run. He's struggling in the classroom because academics wasn't always his thing. And so the coach sends him to see me, Dr. Larkin. And we just walk through everything. And so each chapter, and I really wrote it for like middle school, high school kids, to be honest with you, because there's no real books out there that they like to read. And we want kids reading. So I wrote it pretty much high school, right? But we go through, and then at the end of each chapter, I explain the mental performance piece of it. So like, let's see. So All In Mindset implementation, transforming commitment into action. At the start of his journey, Trey thought giving his best was just about raw talent and hard work. But after a rough first start, he realized that a true all-in commitment means showing up 100% mentally, physically, and emotionally, even when things don't go as planned. The mindset began to reshape how he approached not just football, but every challenge, every setback, and every opportunity that came his way. By adopting the all-in mindset, Trey started transforming pressure into purpose, setting the foundation for growth throughout his season. And so then I go into how I worked with him to set intentions. So I go through Trey moments. So before his next practice, Trey silently commits, "Today I'm all in, no matter what." This intention keeps him grounded during drills, helping him shake off mistakes and focus on improvement instead of perfection. And so it just goes through all of that, because those are the key things, right? Like, so many kids are perfectionists. They have such rigid expectations. So that's one of the first things I try to like figure out with athletes. Like, what are your expectations of yourself? I have to score 30.
Okay.
Well, what happens when you don't?
Right.
I'm a failure. I'm a failure. I'm like,
Yeah.
so if you score 20 and you get 10 rebounds and 6 assists, I'm a failure. I didn't score my 30. And I'm like, well, what if you average 30, right? What if you average 30? Then you can score 40 or score 15 and still
Right.
be on track, right?
Right.
And so it's that kind of like some Jedi mind tricks sometimes. You gotta turn it all around. But helping them to manage expectations, helping them to understand the difference between expectations and goals, right? Helping them understand that their self-talk is one of the most important things they can do for themselves, right? Because we all have confidence killers and confidence fillers. And oftentimes confidence killers can be missed shots, can be a negative statement from the coach, could be being pulled out of the game, could be looking up in the stands and seeing dad shaking his head like,
oh, yes.
Right? That's a confidence killer, right?
Yes.
So we want to teach them how to fill their confidence, right? Because we don't want athletes to rely upon outside external sources of confidence, because
Right.
when they don't come, what do they have? It's got to come from in here.
Got to,
they
yes.
have to have that belief that I'm going to make a mistake, and guess what? That's okay, because that's how I grow, right? You've seen, I'm sure you've watched everything, like Kobe's thing around, I fail, even Michael's, I fail in order to get better.
Right.
If I think of failure as something horrendous that I need to
Negative.
avoid,
right.
then okay, but you're just going to stay like this, because you're not going to challenge yourself. You're not going to try to do different things, right? So when you make a mistake, that's a prime opportunity to be able to figure out, what did I do wrong? What do I need to improve? How can I be better tomorrow than I was today? So I have some strategies I want to do with you. I'm going to teach you some strategies, okay?
That's awesome. Now, doctor, how can people get a hold of your book?
Oh, Amazon. So this was my All in Mindset, but this is the Car Ride Chronicles. Do you see that picture? Like, that's such a, like, you've been in that car before, right?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, you know it.
Were you driving the car, or were you in the back seat?
I was in the back seat.
Okay. I was in both. I can admit that. I did not always walk the walk or talk my talk, So the Car Ride Chronicles is another book that I wrote in order to just help parents understand what is actually happening in their athlete's mind when they're tuned out and they're not listening and they're not paying attention.
Which leads me into my next question. Since we talked about the youth, we talked about the mindset, and which is fantastic. Let's talk about what I believe can be one of the most crucial problems: parents. So I want you to talk about parents. I hope parents are watching this.
First, let me say, I've never met a sports parent who did not love their child and want them to succeed. Right? If they're at the game, they're invested, right?
Yes,
on some level. However,
here we go.
Their words, their tone, their actions can be very debilitating to an athlete, right? Completely shut them down. Because do they think that their child doesn't already know all the mistakes they made? Doesn't know, I didn't have the best game tonight? So I try to get parents to understand that, like, after a game, their adrenaline is still pumping.
Oh, absolutely.
Their cortisol levels, their stress hormone is like sky high.
Right.
They can't hear you. They don't want to hear you, but they can't hear you, right? Because they go into, like, if they know it's coming, they know the talk's coming, they go into either fight, flight, or freeze mode. They're either going to yell and it's going to be a battle, fight, right?
Yep.
In fight mode, they're going to go down, put their head over their shoulder, look out the window. Right?
Yeah.
Or they're going to freeze and just be like, what? Like, why are you doing this to me? So I try to get parents to understand, listen, probably not the best time to go through the game on the way home. So, whether you have a 24-hour rule, we don't discuss the game for 24 hours so we can all process it.
Mm-hmm.
Or I have some baseball players who two baseball players, they're brothers, but they said when they were younger that dad was the coach and the players would decide whether or not they wanted to talk about the game by whether they had their hat on or they took their hat off. If the hat was on, they were still a baseball player and they wanted to.
I got you.
They had the hat off. They were like, no, you're not talking about it. I just need to chill right now. So, understanding what's happening in their mind, understanding that, sometimes they just need a little cooling off space. But I also teach my athletes and parents, we have to teach kids how to be accountable to their own performance. So it's a strategy. It's called stop, start, continue, right? So I use this. I'll use it after this session. I use it after all my sessions. That's my dog. I use it, no matter what I'm doing. If I'm writing a proposal, if I'm doing a project, I do this. I have my athletes do it after every practice, after every workout, after every game. So when our emotions are high, our adrenaline and cortisol are going, it's like a tsunami, right? In their mind. They can't hyper focus on one thing. So, after a while, I'm like, all right, think back of the game.
Mm-hmm.
What's one thing you did? You need to stop doing. You cannot do that in the next game. Okay. What's one thing you didn't do? You needed to do. You should have done. You knew better. You got to do that in the next game.
Right.
And then what's one thing you did really well? You need to continue doing every single time you get on the court. So what that does is it takes the tsunami and it breaks it down to 3 simple things, right? So if it were me and I had an off night shooting, I would go back and I'd be like, all right, so one thing I need to stop doing, I need to stop hesitating. I need to stop second guessing myself. I need to start calling for the ball louder. I need to make sure my hands are in a T and I'm going up and I'm following through. I need to go through all of that, right? So I was catching the ball like this, so my elbow was out. So of course I was missing. So what's one thing I did well? I played some kick butt defense, and I'm going to do that every single game, right? So it just breaks it down from I played like crap to I need to, stop second guessing myself. I need to start calling for the ball and being confident in my shot, and I need to keep really working hard on defense.
When you played at UMass Dartmouth, what was Kathy Johnson Houtman there?
She was the assistant coach.
Okay, she was a phenomenal player. Wow.
Yes, she was.
Phenomenal.
Yes. When she would come out on the court and do drills, we were like, she's gonna kill us. But yeah, she's amazing.
I think she's the all-time leading scorer at UMass Dartmouth, if I'm correct.
She was. Yeah, I haven't heard anything different.
I know I haven't either. Now, again, getting back to the parents. What do you suggest parents, because you and I know this for a fact, some parents are living through their kids. Maybe they weren't a good high school player or never made it to college, but damn it, my kid's going to make it. And how do you handle that situation with the mindset?
So, I often have one-on-one conversations with parents as I get to know,
That's great. I think she froze on us. I don't know. Can you hear me? Oh, I think she froze. This is a great show. I'm hoping that a lot of parents are watching
They're
this.
only hearing it from me. Oh, and we're back.
Okay, good. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it takes a village, and if everyone's speaking the same language, coaches, athletes, parents, right? So I also teach coaches how to do the stop, start, continue. And some of my coaches will after every practice ends practice, all right, everybody think which one thing you did today in practice you need to stop doing, you need to start doing. All right, now take that home with you and figure out what you're going to do tomorrow.
That is awesome.
And parents too. Hey, you worked really hard out there, but what can we do different, right? Like what do you need to stop doing? Asking questions like that instead of dictating how the conversation's going to go, right? Be supportive. Validate that it's hard. It's hard work to, juggle school and sports and social life and everything. Accentuate the process, not the outcomes, right? The effort, not the actual stats, right? Because when we're so outcome focused, we lose track of the process. And the process is all the mental stuff and physical stuff. So, I have my thing, trust the process. It's trust it with everything and anything you do. If you put forth everything you have, doesn't matter, if you're not that good at it yet, but you're like, damn it, I'm going to be. I am going to wait till they see me next, right? Having that and trusting the process that if I work hard and I improve by recognizing and analyzing my performance in order to get better, then the stats will come, right? But if you're so hyper-focused on the stats and you're missing shots, then you're starting to panic because you're not going to get the points, and then you lose it. And then what happens? You make more mistakes. Your player gets past you. It's just no good. We have to have control over our minds.
And as an athlete, when you're at your best is when you're free. When you get that mindset, like, focus on the stats.
In your zone.
You're not free. Exactly. I like my guests to have an impact. Obviously, you made a great impact, obviously. Now, what I'm trying to see, what would be something that you would tell someone who visits you the very first time? What would that be like? What if I'm shy, I'm quiet? I'm not going to tell you what I'm going through.
So I think this is where mental performance helps a lot of athletes open up, right? It's not therapy. It's not coddling. It's not any of that stuff. It's skills development, right? So just like you work on your shot, you work on your handle, you do all that, you need to work on your mind too. And so once I explain that to them and I show them a couple of videos of Kobe and Steph and Jalen talking about the power of their mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, they say it better than I do. I use resources very well to be able to engage athletes who maybe are just like, I don't know. But yeah. But I don't know if you know this stat, but 70% of all athletes in America quit by the age of 13.
Oh, I did not know that.
So
really?
Think about that, right? So, and they say the research shows that the number two of the top issues are because the pressure becomes so ginormous and it's no fun. It's no longer any fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, right, like you go by a soccer field, you see hundreds of little players running out there. How many of them are playing in high school? Not that many.
You're right. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. And so I try to like explain like the reality of all this. And one of the other things that, to go back to your parent question about like, what if they want it more? What if they're like, my kid's going to do this or do that? The reality is, out of every high school athlete, only 7%. Now there's over 8 million high school athletes in America. Only 7% will play in college.
Wow.
Only 1.7% of the 7% will go D1.
Wow.
Less than 1% of all of the 8 million athletes in America go pro. So do you really think, like, I'm like, do you really? And sometimes I have to have hard conversations, right?
Yeah, right.
But when you're real and you're not like trying to preach to them, you're, teaching them and educating them. Parents, a lot of times they have their aha moment. They're like, oh, you're right. You're right. So would you rather push, you got to go do this, you got to play D1, whatever, or would you rather try to develop a well-rounded, mentally resilient young man or woman who can overcome obstacles, know they can do hard things, whether it's in a sport, in the classroom, at their job, right? Because I get adversity. I have to deal with some crap at times. And if I didn't have my way of thinking, it could kind of really have a negative impact. But no.
Right.
So you have to, these are lifelong skills, not just for sports.
Doctor, I think what's an important factor, you're saying that a lot of kids by the age of 13 quit playing sports. Now, what I find, refereeing and dealing with all types of
I want to talk about body language with you in a minute.
You hit me up with it. You go ahead. But
no, you need to go first.
Before that, what I wanted to bring out was pressure.
Is a privilege.
That's what I was going to get to, because a lot of kids, I think a lot of times, the pressure of having to work out on your own, going to practice, being held accountable. Now, I know and when I was playing in high school, a lot of kids were more talented than the ones that were playing, but they just didn't want to deal with coaches telling them what to do and being accountable, and therefore that's why they didn't go out for the team. That's what, from my experience, I found out that that's what they do. So, is there anything that maybe I didn't ask you that you want to convey to the audience?
No, you know what I want to do though, real fast? I want to go through the all-in mindset. I didn't do that.
Good.
I don't know why.
Yes, absolutely.
So A in all-in. A is awareness, right? We cannot change what we're not aware of. So I teach them to really pay attention to their thoughts.
Okay.
And the tone of voice that they speak to themselves in, the statements that they make to themselves, the things, their triggers, right? Like when this happens, I react this way. If we're not aware of what our triggers are, if we're not aware of how we're thinking, then we can't change it. So awareness is the first step to the all-in mindset. And then it's let go of limitations. L, let it go, right? Let go of perfectionism. There's no such thing as perfection, right?
Right.
There's no such thing. There's no reason for you to fear failure so much that it paralyzes you. Let it go. Failure is going to happen. It is inevitable, right? We need to learn from it. The next L is lock in. That's when it comes to get your head in the game. I thought it was. But we have to be able, when we're competing, to block stuff out, right? And to hyper focus on what's important. So what is important? That present moment. Every second is what you need to be focusing on, right? Because if you're worried about the mistake that just happened, or you're down by 5 and you're worried about losing, you're not present. So how can your reaction and your right? Like, how can you be ready if you're too worried about the past or the future? And then
Right.
I is the intrinsic confidence, the building it from within. And then N is next play mentality. You have to have a next play mentality or else you get stuck. And, you know, I don't care if it's next pitch, next shot, next pass, next catch, next goal, next whatever, next play. You can't change the last play, so you better hyper focus on the next play.
Right. Awesome. Now, before you get into my movements, I'll come down to hear about that. How can people get a hold of you? Because I think after this show, you may be getting some offers to come speak at the various high schools, and this is shown all over the country. So, how can they get in touch with you?
That is, I love sharing this.
I can tell.
Yeah, no, I love it. So I have a website. It's theallinpro.com. And I am most active on Instagram at allin_mental performance. And they can email me at theallinpro@gmail.com, or they can call me directly. That's fine too. I love talking. I love to talk.
Now, can you tell us some of the other athletes you have worked with, maybe the pros? Because I'm sure people might be interested in who you might have been working with.
I can't do that.
Oh, you can't do that. All right. Sorry. Hey, sorry about that.
Yeah. I sign.
Wait, I know. Okay.
Agreement.
My bus.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe not tell me who, but can you tell me how, or when you do have these athletes, what do you speak with them about? How do you help their mindset?
So, you know, the pros is a whole different animal, right? Like even college, you know how I said like high school players don't know what they don't know when they're going into college?
Right.
College players don't know what they don't know when they're going into the pros, right?
Correct.
So it is more of a business.
Right.
So you have to be able to adjust that mindset. And so some things don't make sense to them when they get there. And, you know, just being able to talk about it, because pros get sad too. Pros go through stuff too. And they don't always want to talk to coach about that. They're not going to talk to their teammates about that. Or even, you know, a lot of players will say, I didn't want to talk to the in-house person. I want somebody completely objective and not involved with the business.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and it's just for them, it's just getting them comfortable with talking about the stuff that they're struggling with, because athletes are expected to be tough. They're expected to be the best. They're expected to not get dysregulated, but then they do. And then who do they have to go to? And so, you know, that's when we find, you know, the identity stuff starts to happen. And I even work with retired pros who am I now that I'm not playing? Who am I now that the spotlight's not on me?
That's true. Yeah.
You know, and that's a huge issue for so many.
Absolutely. Yep. Okay. Now talk about my body movements. What's going on with that, doctor?
No, I wasn't talking about your body movements. I was talking about as when you ref body players. If you make a bad call,
Lord.
Not that you ever make bad calls, but if you did make a bad call, right? Or they miss a shot. Right? You see some of those, right? I have a friend, Graham Betchart. He is a mental performance coach. He actually mental performance coach for the Conn men's team, and was a pro in-house mental performance coach out in California. And he works with Jalen, like he's in it. And he has a thing called palms up players or palms down players, right? And so his thing is palms down basketball. You can't be triggered. You can't let things that are outside of your control, ref calls, being pulled out, all of those things impact your game. When you're like this, you're dysregulated. You're not composed. So he teaches them to actually, like in the middle of panic sometimes to push their hands down and be palms down, because
Wow.
that sends a message. And I think this is a huge, important skill for high school athletes and college. But if they're being recruited, these recruiters and these schools and these coaches, they already know their physical talent, right? They've watched the film, they've seen them play. They want to know more about the person, right? They want to know more about, how do you handle adversity? How do you react when things go bad? What is your body language? How do you react and speak to your coach, your teammates? Those are the things they want to know, because they don't want a head case coming, right? Like, you don't want to have to deal with drama. So those are the things that they're looking at. You know, Jayana Silva, right? Brian's
Yes.
sister. So Brian Rudolph's
Yes.
sister, Jayana, she was just starting to kind of look into different programs, and she started working with a program. First question they asked her, are you working with a mental performance coach? So
Wow.
this is what I feel is so huge. We're at a tipping point right now, because nobody's talked about this up until now around here, right? So it's going to spread, and it's going to increase, because 15 years ago, high schools didn't have an athletic trainer on staff. Now
That's
they
true.
all do,
Yes,
right?
that's true.
So they don't have mental performance coaches at the high school level, but I think they're going to eventually, because it just makes sense. We can't ignore the mental part. I've gone as far as to, coaches have to be trained in CPR, first aid, concussion protocol, everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing about mental health. And those are the issues. If you don't understand anxiety and how it affects kids, you can be doing damage. If you don't understand that, there might be a day where Sally is just not coming to school because she's feeling a certain type of way. What can you do to encourage her instead of consequence her by not playing her in the next game? Which maybe that's the case. I'm not like telling coaches how to coach, but to just increase their understanding. So there's a bill in the House right now to mandate coaches to receive some level of mental health training. And so I'm really trying to help promote that.
You know something too, I think with this show, because I repeat it all over, and I think a lot of people are going to be made aware of exactly about the mindset. And I think that you coming on my show is so important, and that's why I'm so glad that you took the time to come on my show, because this is very important. And what you're doing to me is you're making things easier, because kids have a lot of pressure, a lot of things on their mind. But with the mindset, I think it gives like an ebb and flow, and I think that could help them go through, like you said, palms up, palms, all that. I mean, again, you're giving the players, hopefully the parents, a different mindset. I think that is so damn important. And I like, my guests to make an impact. And Doctor, you have definitely made an impact. We could talk for 8 hours, but
I can still go. I can still talk.
But Doctor, I want to thank you for coming on my show. It's been an honor. It's been a pleasure. I mean, you can see I'm so pumped up when you came on, because you're giving like a brightness, I don't know, a different look, different things to think about. And I think people all over the country that look at this will start to maybe get their mindset as well. And maybe the parents will be watching, and maybe, I think you made a very important, I guess, information about the mindset and mind performance and all that you do. But before you go, I want you to show your 2 books. I want you to let people know how to get to purchase those books. And any last thing you want to talk about?
So you can get these on Amazon, right? Or if you see me out in public at a speaking engagement or something, I always have them with me. So, yeah. The parent one, which is really cool, is at the end of each chapter, there's like actual worksheets that make the parents actually like think about the way they think and the way they respond.
That's
and to
awesome.
think about what they think their child might be thinking.
That
because
is so awesome.
we don't often, consider that. So, so if I could say anything, I think, my goal, my wish, my hope, my dream is to make Massachusetts the hub of holistic sports development,
I like
right?
that. I like
That
that.
every athlete, every school, high school, prep school, college will have access to these types of supports because it's just going to build stronger human beings.
Absolutely, absolutely. Again, Doctor, I want to thank you for coming on my show. Anytime you want to come on, talk about your book, anything you want to come on, you have an open invitation. So again, I want to thank you so much for coming on my show.
Thank you,
Take care.
Michael.
God bless.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Folks, it's been an honor having Dr. Heather Locken on my show. And, she brought a whole different look. It gave me so much, excitement because, as athletes, we train our bodies. We always train our bodies, but we really don't focus on the mind. And I think that is so crucial. And for have her, because she goes and gives lectures at various high schools, and, the hall was packed. And I think that if the mindset is done to these kids before they go through their football, basketball, baseball, volleyball, I think it will change the way they think, and it might change the way they perform. Because, like she said, a lot of kids, they don't want to deal with the parents. They don't want to deal with this or deal with that. But having the right mindset is so crucial. And I'm glad she came on the show because, like she said, you got to get trained in CPR, first aid, concussion. How about training the mind? You ever think, how about training? How important is that? You know what I mean? For all these kids who might be on the verge or might sit the bench or, don't get enough playing time or have the pressure of the parents, having her speak or read her books, I think it can provide so much information and such a positive thing. And I'm honored she came on my show. As you can see, she's a dynamite person, very knowledgeable. And I was lucky to get her on the show. But before I go, folks, you better tune in next Friday because I have with me a guy by the name of September Galley Jr. He is a former NFL player with the Boston New England Patriots, which I don't like to talk about. But anyway, he played for the New England Patriots, and now he is one of the premier speakers in the nation regarding leadership qualities and leadership. And I don't know how I got him on the show. He's an author. He speaks, stadiums. I don't know how I got him on, but sometimes you get lucky. Well, anyway, I got him coming on. I also have former head coach at Cambridge Vigilantin, George Washington, and St. John's, and he goes by the name of Dr. Mike Jarvis, or Reverend Mike Jarvis, or whatever. But he's coming on, and then I got guests coming up again, man. I got a professional boxer coming on, folks. Sports Corner with the Conn Man. We're doing the damn thing. Thanks to my producer, Key Williams. Oh, it's just only begun. So, folks, again, I want to thank you for tuning into my show, Sports Corner with the Conn Man on the Sports Wave Network. You all take care. God bless. Tune in next Friday, 6 p.m. Take care. God bless.